Well, guess what I have today? Another Magnavox ZV457MG9A. So somehow, based on the YouTube videos I have posted, I have somehow become the authority on these units. Anyhow, let's pop this one open, take a look inside, then power it up and see what it does. Okay, here we go. Got the top off. Let's go ahead and apply AC power to it. And immediately it tries to unload. Oh, and it tries to reload. And the gear is just slipping. Let's go ahead and pop a tape into it and see if it even tries to take a tape in this kind of limbo state that it's in. So I'm going to go ahead and shut the power back off to it. I'll turn the power back on. It should try to eject. Then I'll put the tape in it. And we'll see what happens when it tries to load the tape. Ooh, that's not good at all. Let's go ahead and try it one more time. I'm going to help it this time. Okay, not good. Why is it not accepting the tape? That's very strange. No, I don't see anything defective down here. It should go ahead and at least accept the tape with no problem. Tape guides move freely. So I'm going to try to hand load this thing and see what happens. And it appears to be getting stuck over here on the left side because the right side goes down fine. Interesting. Okay, let's go ahead and try to hand eject the tape now. We're going to go ahead and try to load it with no tape whatsoever and see what happens here. If I can get the cat out of the way. Well, I did get it to load and it's getting stuck on the back tension arm, which is this arm that's going to come out right there. So I just barely bent it out of the way and now it actually loads. Let's see if it plays for more than a few seconds before it shuts down. And it does. So that is very interesting. Does it rewind? Perfectly fine. Fast forward. Will it give the tape back? But now will it try to accept a tape even though there's no tape in there? And yes, it does. So why is it trying to take a tape when there's no tape in here? So let's go ahead and start by simply cleaning the prism and see if it might be obstructed. So I'll get a cotton swab with some glass cleaner. Just because the outside of the prism looks okay, make sure you clean all these surfaces as well because this can obstruct the light to the different supply and take-up sensors. So we'll go ahead and wipe off this supply sensor. This is actually the take-up sensor. We'll go ahead and wipe off this take-up sensor. And I'll wipe off the supply sensor. Now the take-up sensor is the one responsible for saying, yes, I put a tape in it because this little flap right here actually blocks the take-up sensor. So this is the dry end. Let's dry everything off. Power it back up and see if it tries to accept a tape once again. So it should eject, then it should do nothing else because I don't have a tape in it. And it doesn't. Was it something as simple as just cleaning the prism? So one thing I noticed with this infrared receiver is it's not really pointed at the prism. I'm going to go ahead and move it ever so slightly just to make sure it's actually pointed right at the prism. And the same thing with this supply sensor because it needs to see the infrared light coming out. So let's power the unit back up. Now let's try to pop a tape into it. And it takes it perfectly. Was it something that simple, just needed the receivers and the prism to be cleaned? Oh my gosh, that is 1 in a million. But it's playing absolutely perfect now. So the back tension arm was bent ever so slightly, keeping the tape from going down on this side. because that lives right here. And what it was doing, it was hitting the bottom of the tape right here. I just barely moved it out, maybe a 1/16 of an inch, just so it would clear right in that little cavity right there. Now it's taken the tape absolutely perfectly. And it plays perfect. I really feel bad for the guy that shipped this thing several hundred miles all the way from Oklahoma out to California for something that simple. I wonder if I should just go ahead and service the entire unit, clean the mode select switch, check the DVD caps, clean the optical pickup. I just don't know what to do at this point. Unbelievable. Okay, let's go ahead and pull out the two screws. Remember, this one on the right-hand side is a machine thread screw. This one buried underneath the ribbon cable right here is a plastic thread screw, much like a wood screw. Has much coarser threads. Do not get those mixed up. Now we can open this up and find the mode select switch right there. Go ahead and just grab it, give it a little tug, and it'll open up. Yes, I would say that one is definitely in need of a cleaning. I don't know how it still worked, but it is in need of a cleaning nevertheless. Okay, let's go ahead and scrub this thing up. So people have asked me, where do I get my stainless toothbrush? You can find them at a lot of auto supply stores. Even Harbor Freight sells some stainless and brass toothbrushes. So let's go ahead and clean the rotary portion now. We'll just clean, once again, the cat not helping, in one direction only. That looks good. Give it a bit of pre-tension. I'm just going to bend these up very slightly so they have more grab on the contacts. Next, we'll go ahead and hit it with some acetone. That looks good. Let's clean the stationary portion now. Remember, the acetone will not affect this kind of plastic on the Funai machines. It will, however, affect the plastic on the Samsung machine. So do not use it on a Sony and or a Samsung machine. You want to use basic denatured alcohol on those machines. So next, I have a good amount of silicone dielectric grease, which is available from most auto parts stores. And I'm just going to go ahead and coat every contact in here, because I do not want air getting to these contacts. That looks good. And I just want to go ahead and coat the contacts itself. There we go. Let's snap the two halves back together now. Cat, you're not helping. There we go, snap together. And we'll just run it around a few times, probably 30, 40, 50 times each way. Make sure when you're done that you line up this tab with the circle right here printed on the board. Just like that, because that's how the mode select switch meshes with the main mode select gear. So the post goes through the center of the mode select switch, and we have to make sure that the tab goes into the hole in the gear. Just like that. Remember the machine thread screw, the fine thread goes in this hole right here on this side. The coarse thread screw goes under the ribbon cable into this hole right there. Okay, so these are the power supply capacitors I've chosen to use on these units. Panasonic EEU-FS0J472. 4700 microfarad, 6.3 volts with an ESR of 18 milliohms. I chose those because of the low ESR. All right, Suscon cap out of there, new Panasonic cap in there. Many more years of reliability. Okay, let's go ahead and check the caps now on the DVD recorder board. First, verify lead integrity, and I should see 0.0, and I do. So this 330 microfarad cap should be, I'd like to see a little less than 1.1, but I'm okay with 1.1. 2.6, just a hair high, probably still okay. 0.3, perfectly fine. 5.4, I'd like to see a bit lower than 5 ohms on a 47. 0.9, perfectly fine. 0.3, even better. 0.2, yes. 1.2, just a hair high for my liking, but I think it's going to be okay. 0.28, perfectly fine. Now, I've had problems with this cap right here, measuring like 5 to 7 ohms. Ooh, 9 ohms. So that one, I'm going to want to go ahead and change. 9 ohms, definitely bad. So I'll put a red mark on that one. 2.7, perfectly fine with that. 4.7 on 100, no, that one's getting changed. 0.5, yes, very good. 2.5, I'm good with that on a 47, especially a surface mount cap. 0.4, perfectly fine. 0.3, that's perfectly fine. 0.4, good with that. 4.3, a little high for my liking. 4.7, I think I'll go ahead and change both of those. And then the last cap right here, another 47, 5.6. Want to change that one as well. So back to this one, the 47 that measured 5 ohms. I'm going to go ahead and change that one out as well. So we'll change these 47s right here, 5 of those, and this 100. So these are the caps that will be going back into this unit. I've already went ahead and ESR'd the majority of the caps and figured out an average ESR. So the 100s at 6.3 are 0.7 ohms, which is perfectly fine. The 47s at 6.3 are 1.9 ohms. So let's go ahead and use the twist off method. We'll go ahead and replace those and slap the new ones in. And then this thing should be ready to go once we go ahead and give the DVD player a cleaning and clean the VCR mechanism. Okay, all the old bad caps are off. We'll clean the pads and install the new caps. Okay, there we go. All the defective caps have been replaced on the DVD recorder board. Let's go ahead and put this thing together, give it a quick cleaning, give it a final test. So here is the DVD optical pickup responsible for reading and writing to the DVD. And so that is the before image. Let's go ahead and give it a quick cleaning. Just a regular cotton swab moistened with household glass cleaner. Nothing with ammonia because ammonia will strip the optical coating from the pickup. And I'm just going to go ahead and very, very, very gently scrub this in a circular motion. Look at the stuff that's already picked up off of there. That was mostly off of the metal shield more than anything. And then I'm just going to go ahead and dry it with the dry end. Once again, scrubbing in a circular motion and rotating the cotton swab as I'm going. Already looks much, much better. Let's go ahead and get the flashlight back on it and see what it looks like. Oh, much better. Look at that. Okay, let's go ahead and reassemble the unit now. And I will go ahead and find a VHS tape and start a VHS copy to DVD and make sure it completes the copy and finalizes the disc. Okay, DVD mechanism is reassembled. All the bad caps have been changed. Let's go ahead and put it together and give it a test. Okay, so just because I've had so many problems with this in the past, let's go ahead and show you how to clean the rear rotation sensor once again. We'll start by taking out the single screw that holds the prism down. Now this will correct the majority of the problems if your tape only plays for about 7 or 8 seconds and then stops. So I have a cotton swab moistened with regular glass cleaner. So I'm going to go ahead and wipe off the entrance to the prism and the exit to the prism right here. And I want to make sure that I wipe off this little ledge right here because if stuff collects on that, it can actually diffuse the light output. And so I'll dry off the entrance and the exit right here. So I'm going to go ahead and stick my moistened end down here and clean the infrared emitter diode. And then I want to go ahead and clean the infrared receiver diode as well. And then don't worry if that gear falls off, we can place it right back on, no problem. The prism is what holds it down. Now with the dry end, I'll go ahead and clean off the infrared emitter and the infrared receiver. We'll pop that gear back into place. Go ahead and just place the prism on here. Now it's keyed, so it has a single hole. Let me clean that off. It has a single hole in the center and then 2 keying pins. So the keying pins help it retain its position because it only has 1 screw that holds it down. So go ahead and wipe off the entrance and the exit of the prism here and the center just to make sure, because any dust that accumulates in the center will diffuse the light. Next, we'll go ahead and get some magical solution acetone out, and we'll go ahead and clean the entire tape path, including the upper and lower drum assembly, and that includes the video heads. So I'm just going to go ahead and scrub the upper drum assembly. I'm not going to make contact with the heads quite yet. I'm just cleaning the upper drum assembly. That was very clean. And then I'm going to clean the lower drum assembly. Now I'm making sure that you see where these set screws are right here and right here. I'm scrubbing in between those because that's where the actual heads are. And you don't want to scrub the heads at this point yet. We will scrub the heads with a cotton swab, but I know a lot of the haters will say, you can't use a cotton swab to clean video heads. But trust me, almost 40 years of doing this with no issues yet. So next we're going to go ahead and scrub the heads, and I'm going to go ahead and scrub the heads only with this portion of the cotton swab, not way out here where it could actually grab it. So I'm just going to very, very lightly rotate the head while applying a very light force to the actual video heads, never scrubbing in a vertical motion, only in a horizontal motion. And we'll go ahead and wipe off the bottom of the drum once again just to make sure there's no contaminants. And we'll do the rest of the mechanism at this point. Okay, this thing is all cleaned up and ready to go. It was actually in very good condition. So next I'm going to go ahead and find a VHS tape of unknown length. I'll get a blank DVD and I'll do a complete VHS to DVD transfer. Make sure the DVD records on the disc, that it finalizes the disc, and that it can play the disc back. Okay, here we go. I have a blank DVD-R in the unit. It's a -R, which is what Funai Magnavox recommends to use on these units. So let me go ahead and close the drawer and let it read the table of contents, and hopefully it comes up with 0 items on the disc. And it does know that it is a -R disc. So let me hit the record mode and we'll see what we have left in time. So this disc has approximately 1 hour and 45 minutes, so I'm going to put it in the SP 2-hour mode. So let me go ahead and let's go to Setup, General Settings. Let's go ahead and set the clock. So it is currently September 2nd, 2021. And it is 12:47 a.m. right now. We'll set it for 12:48. So let's go to recording. Auto chapter I want every 5 minutes. Auto finalize end of timer record. On. Dubbing mode, I want to make sure it's in the VCR to DVD mode, and it is. Make recording compatible on. Once again, check the clock. It is currently 12:48. Yes, it is. So I think we're ready to copy this thing. So next, I'll just go ahead and hit the dubbing button on the front of the unit to copy the VHS over to the DVD. Here we go. And there it is. It's copying. So I'll go ahead and check back in a couple of hours and make sure it successfully recorded this video. Okay, so I have the unit ready. I've recorded 1.5 hours on a DVD from VHS. Let's go ahead and close the drawer, make sure it reads the table of contents, and see what we get. Okay, well, it read the title. Everything's good. Let's go ahead and hit play and make sure it plays. And there it is. It is playing. Some video that I recorded back in the mid-80s, probably 1986, 1987. Anyhow, that's it. A copy from VHS to DVD of about an hour and a half. Everything's good. I certainly hope you enjoyed this video on the repair of the Magnavox ZV457MG9A. Go ahead and leave me a question, a comment, a concern down below. I try to respond to the comments when I have time. While you're down there, hit that subscribe button and like this video. It really does help my channel grow. You can follow me on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter at NorCal715. You can email me, NorCal715videos@gmail.com. That is the best way to contact me. I do have a full-time job and I do this in my spare time. Remember, with your help, we can try to keep these things out of the landfill, out of the recycle bin, and out of the e-waste facility. Everybody, thank you for making it to the end of this video. I really do appreciate it. Once again, everyone have a great day. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.